Good evening. My name is Shayla Hooper, and I will be recording my highlights of my final paper for class EDSN 640, section 15. For my final paper, I chose to discuss the Stanford Binet number 5 intelligence test. And I started off my paper discussing my rationale as to why I chose this topic and why it was important for me to write about it. So, my number one reason for writing this paper was because I feel like, as an early childhood teacher, specifically a UPK teacher in New York City, I have a lot of children in my classroom with special needs, and it is really hard to meet their needs because sometimes proper evaluations weren't done, or there just aren't enough resources to help these students. So I feel like the Stanford Binet number 5 gave me a better idea of how this type of intelligence test helps those students with special needs to thrive in the classroom and just to thrive in their everyday lives. Moving forward, I started off after my rationale, I started to discuss what the Stanford Binet number 5 testing scale exactly is. And in 1905 in France, it was first created, and then it was recreated in 1916, so that it could be implemented and used in the United States of America. And to my surprise, it was a very successful tool from the very beginning, of when it even was first used. And this is a test to assess and to test the intelligence levels of young and older adolescents. From young to older adolescents. And test takers range in ages from 2 to 85 years old and up. So, as I mentioned before, it helps to assist in diagnosing learning disabilities, developmental delays, gifted individuals, and mental retardation. It can take anywhere from 45 to 90 minutes to be completed, but it also depends on the age and, the level of the child, because it can take longer, or the level of the adult. It could take longer, it could be a little bit quicker to complete. The scale focuses on 5 cognitive area scores, and just to give you a little brief synopsis of what those are, is the nonverbal ability and verbal ability, which includes the fluid reasoning, knowledge, quantitative reasoning, visual spatial reasoning, and working memory. And so, after my findings and after my research, this is what really stuck out to me, and it was the fact that, a lot of people are using this as an achievement tool. And to me, it really bothers me because these tests don't depict who the child is for that particular moment or how the child is overall. And so when you give an intelligence test such as this one, it's kind of hard to really figure out who the child is overall. So you're looking at that child for the particular time, and you're trying to see where the child is intelligence wise. And to me, it could be beneficial, but it could also not be so beneficial to the child. And so in my paper, I started to discuss how they went about sampling, or figuring out what would be considered the norm for comparing it to other individuals who might complete this intelligence test. And again, I'm going to give you just a brief overall. So the norm sampling included people of different ethnicities, people of different age groups, people of different genders, geographic locations. And so they would compare what they saw in these individuals that they selected as a standardized norm sampling, and then they would compare it to those who they wanted to implement this intelligence test on. And the results were pretty outstanding. I'm just going to scroll down to how reliable it was, and it was proven to be pretty reliable as a means of intelligence testing, and it was also proven to be a very valid type of testing tool that could be used to detect the level of intelligence per person. some of the advantages, as I mentioned briefly before, there were some disadvantages, and there are definitely some advantages. One of those advantages is because it helps to identify children who might need extra help. And by doing this intelligence test, it will point out those students who need the extra help. One disadvantage, as I mentioned before, is the fact that we don't know if these children are just displaying this because on the day of the exam, or if this is, how they normally might behave or how they normally might take a test on any given day. So that's one of the disadvantages. And then I just presented some potential problems. And one of those potential problems is that once we start to use this as a way to assess children with special needs, it might really create a sense of low self-esteem, because eventually they might be labeled, and for them to go into a classroom and be in a classroom that we believe is the correct setting for them, they might go in and only thrive, or they might only succeed to the level that we expect them to, which is kind of unfair. So to eliminate one of these problems, or that particular problem, I said that we could continue to encourage them to achieve higher than whatever their score depicted, or whatever we believe they can do. But if we encourage these children, it will help them feel better, and they will be able to succeed and thrive in their own learning. Another problem is the fact that, again, if we allow these children, let's say they were having a bad day on the particular day that they took the intelligence test, their scores might definitely be impacted by how they were feeling on that particular day. So I would say, as a way to ensure that, or to solve this problem, it would be useful to kind of get an overall feeling of who this child is overall, aside from the intelligence test. Like, maybe if there was some kind of form given out to parents prior, so that we can kind of assess to see who the child is, not only while they're taking the intelligence test, but how they are overall. So this pretty much sums up my paper. I hope you enjoyed listening to me. I know I'm going a little bit over 5 minutes, but I hope that I covered all the points, and feel free to contact me if you have any other questions. Have a good day. Bye.